Hello everyone, my name is Jamesdalf. Welcome to my Dungeon23 challenge that I'm going to be doing. If you don't know what Dungeon23 challenge is that every day in 2023 you make a new room to a mega dungeon. So I'd like to go over my session 0 stuff with it, everything I figured out. We're going to pop over to my chat so you can see what everything that's going on. So my theme is going to be a path through the Underdark, from the surface to the Underdark. I'm put here Underdark settlement, or mind layer. So the idea is that I'm intending to use this for a play-by-post campaign that I'm currently running. So I'm gonna have to go. First layer is overland travel, where they start with the in the starting city, and they end with the entrance to the dungeon, and then you could do the entrance to the dungeon, or the entrance to the underground, and then you got to do so many layers of entrance to the underground, and then you do so many layers of going through the Underdark, and you can do things there. So I've looked up a bunch of videos. My theme is Underdark travel. The overall dungeon is going to be natural construction with built things in it. I'm also going to have fronts / factions. Same thing to me. They're going to be my layer colony, purple dragon, aboliths. These are going to be my 3 fronts / factions that are going to be in here. These are the things that will be quote-unquote living in this Underdark dungeon. I've got some ideas that I'm going to kind of mess around with. For the first level, I think the general idea is overland travel. Second, it's going to be the natural environment. It's going to be natural kind of going through and everything. Third is going to be I thought this was very cool, a netheril building that's kind of upside down. Like it kind of crashed and it like fell upside down, and then like things were built, like the land slowly grew like over top of it and everything. So I think it'd be cool to try and do like an ancient wizard city, but like inverted. I think that would be interesting to do. Then an idea is like a vertical level, maybe instead of it being a horizontal levels, maybe see if I can make a vertical level. That was pretty inspired by the anime Made in Abyss. There's a section where there's this like long thin tube, and they kind of have to go through these little walls, and they gotta go up and down in that thing. And I kind of had to, like, that'd be kind of cool. See if I can make a vertical level. An underwater level. Maybe this is the abolith layer. Monster layer level, which might be the dragon layer. A rest stop level. This might be Usnatha, which is the Underdark city. Funhouse level, maybe. I'm not sure. Unstable magic level with a crack between planes. I don't know. These are just loose ideas, right? These ones, 1, 2, 3, I really like. Then maybe 4, and then after 4, probably get to Usnatha. I'm not sure what the order I'm doing some of these in. And then I just kind of have some like other ideas that are going to be in here, and some general rules. An important part of making a dungeon is Jequazing the dungeon, Jequaz style dungeons. So I just have my little checklist for every time I finish a week. I want to make sure that I have these things. Every time I finish a month, I want to have these things. And then the mega dungeon checklist, I don't know exactly. I'm still researching what's going to be in here. But I take a lot of my inspiration from video games. Thinking of a mega dungeon really makes me think of games like Doom and Super Metroid and things. So the idea is that maybe there is a way to kind of go back and forth between the levels, and then as they clear out the level and they go on to the next level, something's happening in the level above it and it gets repopulated with something else. I'm not too sure. I'm going to do some things for this that aren't going to be considered what anyone else is doing. First of all, because it's for a play-by-post game, it's going to be designed to run because the game is currently ongoing. The idea is that this dungeon is going to be designed for them to play exclusively, but it's not. That's not a mega dungeon campaign. So the idea is to take chunks of these, like chunks, maybe 1 or 2 layers, pull them out, be able to slide them into the play-by-post campaign. They can do those couple layers, then they get to their thing, and then eventually they'll get to the next one, right? So the original idea was have Usnatha, the Underdark settlement, be the final layer, but it's like, well, maybe like in Dungeon of the Mad Mage, how there's the one layer that's the whole city. Maybe there's a layer that's the whole city, and the final layer is the big bad layer, the Mind Flare colony with the big bad in it. Aboleths are natural enemies to Mind Flares. That makes a good kind of dynamic. I mean, what's a dungeon without a dragon? Need a dragon. Purple dragons are Underdark dragons. Thank you, Fizzbands. I can use the Fizzbands book, and I can use the Dragonlance books for monsters and inspiration and everything, which I think would be good minions for a purple dragon. I think the Aboleths as well could have a lot of minions. They're not too picky about their minions, and they could kind of be like an uneasy tension with because there's the looming threat of the Mind Flare layer faction. I might need to introduce another faction if the Mind Flares aren't going to be playable. We'll keep thinking about that. We have a lot of time to think about this. Because I'm doing this for a play-by-post game, which is entirely text-based, I'm going to be doing no maps. That's the thing about this play-by-post game, is that the hard rule, no maps. So, how am I mapping this dungeon? You're gonna ask. Well, there's this fantastic video by Sly Flourish called Jacques Style Design for D&D Dungeons and Overland Travel. Jacques Style Dungeon, something that we already know about and everything for dungeons, but for overland travel was the interesting part to me. So that's why I want my first layer to be overland. And there's another thing that's become more popular recently called the point crawl instead of the hex crawl, where you do the point crawl instead of the hex crawl. And this is where you have basically a flow chart of where the players are going to go and everything. And the Sly Flourish has this video introducing the concept of taking your point crawl and designing it like a dungeon, right? So, like you can see, so this is his blog. He's showing you examples from an Eberron game where he's done this, using this thing called online Graphiz renderer. I'm going to use this, and I'm going to use Obsidian to try to make the mega dungeon. Because I can do one of these for each layer, where Obsidian's just going to connect them all individually, but it's also links very nicely back and forth. This is the idea, is to map the dungeon for myself this way, and then so I can know where the party is all the time. And you can see here, this one circle is red because that is where the party is. And that's something you can do, is you can choose one of them to be like the highlighted section, right? And then these are the paths in between, but you can see, like, look, here's a little loop, and then here's a loop, and then that technically makes this a loop, and that technically makes this a loop, and then that technically makes this a loop, and this is, the whole thing is a loop, but also, so you can see that the looping back concept is here, it's alive as well, which is great. So I love that idea, and this is how I'm going to be doing it. So I'm not going to be drawing a map. The other thing I need is for it's going to be random encounters. I'm gonna make my own random encounter tables. I'm not gonna use like suggested ones from the Dungeon Master Guide or from Xanthar's. I'm gonna be making my own, based on my layers, based on my fronts. And the idea is that the random encounters aren't gonna be mandatory combat. There's a video by the Dungeon Masterpiece. He's got this old video called "Make Your 2d6 Run Dungeon Tables Way Better," and he does it by having 3 columns. Here's the thing you're going to encounter, here's the behavior of the thing, and then here's the complication, right? And you can roll 1 1 1, right? You go across and you make the obvious, right? Hunter, setting traps, broken gear. Wolves, hunting prey, young, sick. So you roll the 8, get this. Roll the behavior, get this. Roll the complication, get this. And then try and figure out how that fits in. And so I'm going to be making my own random encounter tables using this concept. I'm probably going to be referring back to this video, Seth Skorkowsky. He's got a 2-part series about mega dungeons. And he has these great things. He's talking about the dungeon types, how to populate it, the social ecology, the social encounter. Like it's an amazingly fantastic checklist of things for the dungeon itself that I can also refer back to and incorporate into here as well. I'm gonna do monthly video updates, going through how it's gone, how the layers are coming out, and until the party visits those layers, in theory they are still malleable for me to change until the players visit them, and then they're set in stone. Maybe they're not. Maybe it'll be a changing dungeon. We'll see. That's going to be my Dungeon23 challenge. That's how I'm going to be doing it. I don't have a working title for this dungeon yet, but I will keep that in mind as we go through. So I look forward to giving these updates. I look forward to making this dungeon, seeing how far I can get through it. My main goal is to get the overland travel, the natural environment, the Nethril building, and the Ust Natha layers completed. Because I feel like that is the main journey that my play-by-post players need to go on. And then, of course, separate from that, I will need to do the Mindflayer colony layer, because that will be my big bad for the campaign. So eventually I will use that, but that was the one I have the most time on. Thank you guys so much for checking this out. I do recommend all of these channels: Sly Flourish, Dungeon Masterpiece, and Seth Skorkowsky. Seth Skorkowsky is mostly a Call of Cthulhu channel. He does have some D&D stuff, and the D&D stuff is very good, and I'm very interested in Call of Cthulhu, so I keep coming back to him. I don't know, I'm not subscribed. There, I am subscribed. I'm sorry, Seth! Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this inspired you. Please feel free to engage with me and talk and bounce around some ideas. It would be fantastic. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll talk to you guys again. Bye.